Let's start with the introduction of Final Solution. Mahesh Danton is a well known English playwright, actor, and director of India. He is the first playwright in English to be awarded the Sahitya Academy Award for the Final Solution in 1998. The theme of the play Final Solution is to highlight human weaknesses, selfishness, avarice, and opportunism. Woven into the play are the issue of clans and communities and other clashes between traditional and modern lifestyle and value system. The problem of minorities is not confined to only Hindus and Muslims. It is the fears of any minority community among the majority. Final Solution has a powerful contemporary resonance and it addresses an issue of utmost concern to our society, that is, the issue of communalism. The play presents different shades of the communalist attitude prevalent among Hindus and Muslims in its attempt to underline the stereotypes and cliché infusing the collective sensibility of one community against another. What distinguishes this work from other plays written on the subject is that it is neither sentimental in its appeal nor simplified in its approach.
It advances the objective candor of a social scientist while presenting a mosaic of diverse attitudes towards a religious identity that often plunges the country into inhuman strife. Yet the issue is not moralized, as the demons of communal hatred are located not out in the street, but deep within us. The play moves from the partition to the present day communal riots, and it probes into the religious bigotry by examining the attitudes of three generations of a middle class Gujarati family. Hartika, the grandmother, was obsessed with her father's murder during the partition turmoil and the betrayal by a Muslim friend Zareen. Her son, Ramnik Gandhi, is haunted by the knowledge of his fortunes, which were found on a shop of Zareen's father and were burned down by his kinsman.
Harika's daughter-in-law Aruna lives by the strict code of Hindu Samaskar and granddaughter Smita cannot allow herself a relationship with a Muslim boy. The pulls and pulls of the family are exposed when two Muslim boys, Baban and Javed, seek shelter in their house on being chased by a baying Hindu mob. Babin is a moderate while Javed is an aggressive youth. After a night long exchange of judgment and retorts between the characters, tolerance and forgetfulness emerge as the only possible solution of the crisis. Thus, the play becomes a timely reminder of the conflicts raging not only in India but in other parts of the world. Final Solution touches us and the bitter reality of our lives so closely that it becomes a difficult play to handle for the Indian directors. The past begins to determine the outlook of the present, and thus the earlier contradictions re-emerge. Although no concrete solution are provided in the play to the problem of communalism, but it raises questions on secularism and pseudo-secularism. It forces us to look at ourselves in relation to the attitude that persists in the society. Final Solution has taken the issue of the majority communities in different contexts and situations. It talks of the problems of cultural hegemony, how Hindu has to suffer at the hands of the Muslim majorities, like the characters of Harika Daksha in Husseinbad, and how Muslims like Javed suffers in the setup of the majority Hindu communities. This all resulted in communal riots and culminated in disruption of the normal society life and thus hampered the progress of the nation.
Since it is an experiment in the time and space and relates to memory, it is a play which involves a lot of introspection on the part of the characters in the play and thus induces similar introspection in the viewers. It is an attempt to experiment with the chorus. It has been used in a style which is called realistic stylization. The chorus represents the conflicts of the characters, thus, the chorus, in essence, is the psychophysical representation of the characters and also provides the audience with the visual images of the characters' conflicts. There is no stereotyped use of the characterization of the chorus because communalism has no face, it is an attitude, and thus it becomes an image of the characters. The sets and properties used in the play are simple. This has been done to accentuate the internal conflicts and subtext of the play. Theatre for Asmita is a method of reflection, understanding, and debating the contemporary socio political issues through the process of the play. And I hope the play will also have a lasting impact on the audience.
Act 1. The play Final Solution opens with Daksha, also known as Hardika, a newly married girl writing in her diary on March 31st, 1948. In her diary, she reflects on her experiences in her new home. She doesn't have good opinions about her in laws, though India had gained independence, yet she is imprisoned within the four walls of the house. Hardika has a great appreciation for songs by artists like Shamshad Begum and Noor Jahan. She aspires to become a singer like them, but due to her family restrictions, her desires remain unfulfilled. She got a chance to visit a Muslim girl, Zarain, who also had a great taste for the songs of Noor Jahan and Shamshad Begum. In the course of time, they became best friends. The scene shifts to the present in a town in Gujarat, and Hardika is now an old woman. An idol of the Hindu god is broken down. There are rumors that it is broken down purposely by Muslims. This escalates the tension between Hindus and Muslims, and slogans by mobs of both the communities are heard alternatively. Smita, Hardika's granddaughter, receives a call from her friend Tasneem, who informs her family might have been also aware that bomb has been exploded in her hostel. Smita's father, Ramanik, son of Hardika, takes the phone from his daughter and reassures Tasneem's family and about her safety and ends the call. As there is a quiet tension outside, Hardika advises her daughter-in-law, Aruna, Smita's mother, to check doors and windows thoroughly as the dogs have been let loose. Meanwhile, Jave and Bobby, two Muslim boys, are engaged in an argument on the side of the road in a nearby area. Suddenly, some Hindu men come and start asking them questions and also search them. Finding a skull cap in Bobby's pocket, instantly recognize them as Muslims. As they try to kill them, Jav and Bobby run away and the mob chases them. Desperate for refuge, they reach Ramanik's house and knock on the door. Ramanik eventually opens the door and they rush inside, locking it behind them, pleading for their lives. The mob arrives at Ramanik's door, demanding to hand over Job and Bobby, or they will break the door and come in. However, Ramanik refuses to do so. The mob begins to attack the house with stones and sticks and abuse Ramanik. Aruna does not like Muslims in her house and forces her husband to throw them out. However, Ramanik firmly declines. Ramanik initiates a conversation with Bobby and Jay. Bobby is polite while Jay is quite harsh in the conversation. Ramanik inquires them about their studies, and upon learning that Jay is a school dropout, he starts talking bad about him. Smita recognizes both of them as she enters the scene.
Act 2, Aruna asks Smita how she knows both of them. Smita tells that Javed is the brother of Tasneem and Bobby is her fiancé. When Ramnik and Aruna start insulting Smita for knowing them, Smita defends herself boldly by saying there is no harm in that. It is also revealed that Javed does not live with his parents. Ramnik then asks how he can meet his sister. Javed says that unlike them, the Hindus, he loves the people of his community. Aruna got outraged and Javed apologies. Mob throws stones at the house of Ramnik. Javed scolds Ramnik saying, "Those are your people." Ramnik tries to defend himself. He also tells how his grandfather was killed by Muslim mob soon after the partition. Ramnik offers them milk. Javed, being in thoughts, exclaims, "It must feel good being majority. They have full liberty to do whatever they like with them." Javed and Bobby. Ramnik, still sympathetic, exclaims how the conflict started. There were rumors that during the Rath Yatra of Hindus, some Muslims threw stones at the chariots that made the idols of God to fall and break into pieces, and even Pujari was stabbed to death. The event led to the imposition of curfew in their town. Smita comes with pillows for Bobby and Javed. when she asks them to sleep on the floor as they do not have extra space for them. Jawed answers, "I'm used to it." At this, Smita starts asking him his real motive behind coming to Amargan. Bobby says that he came in search of a job. Ramnik offers him a job at his cloth shop, but Smita wants her father for doing so. When Ramnik inquires about the matter, she reveals that Javed was hired by the terrorist organization and thus expelled from his house. So she also tells that she came to know about this from Tasneem. Javed condemns her for betraying her friend, as she promised Tasneem that she is not to expose the reality of Javed. Smita acknowledges her mistake and, being speechless, runs away.
Act 3. Ramanik starts asking Javed about his involvement in terrorism in a teasing manner. Javed becomes furious and yells hot words. Ramanik angrily slaps Javed and Bobby rushes to calm them down. Bobby then tells when they were young, Javed happened to touch a letter of his Hindu neighbor who abused the former badly. Javed got angry and after some days threw pieces of beef meat in his house. That person came to Javed's house and abused him harshly. Telling the story, Bobby adds that Ramanik's community is partially responsible for making him so because prior to that incident, Javed was the hero of his locality. Bobby and Javed decide to leave. Ramanik, desiring to make Javed accept his job at any cost, threatens them by saying that he will call the police. Javed first bursts into the laugh and then tells that he was ordered to kill the Pujari in the name of jihad. He reached the chariot and tried to stab Pujari, but the latter begged for mercy and thus he became still. All his passions died and he threw away the knife, but someone else took it and stabbed the Pujari to death. Ramanik is moved and calls Javed brave. Smita comes and apologizes for exposing him. After a while, Aruna also comes and after ensuring that it is safe to go outside, thinks of bringing water. Smita suggests taking the help of Bobby. Aruna, being strict in her religious matters, condemns Smita for such a suggestion and thus both mother and daughter fall into an argument. Smita exposes Aruna's blind faiths and challenges them. Aruna, being astonished for the queer behavior of her daughter, is quite shocked. While in chaos, she goes to take bath. Smita, Bobby and Javed go out to bring water. Through their discussion, it is revealed that Smita and Bobby loved each other, but due to the communal problems, they had to separate. Later, Bobby became the fiancé of Javed's sister Tasneem. All the three friends became frank and start cracking jokes and even throw water on each other. Meanwhile, Hardika, who was memorizing how she was beaten by her husband for visiting Zarain's house, as there arose some conflict between the two families, scolds Javed and wishes that, like a father who was killed by Muslims, his sister should also suffer. Ramanik requests her mother not to blame them. When Aruna comes out after taking bath, Bobby unexpectedly goes in the small temple and in spite of denial by Aruna, he respectfully takes the idol in his hands and talks about communal harmony and keeps back in its place. Both of them then go away. A little later, Ramanik tells Hardika how he, his father, and his grandfather burned the shop of Zarain's father to buy it at a reduced price in the name of communal hatred, and now he repents over his past deeds. He desires not to visit his shop again. Thus, the play Final Solutions ends without any solutions to these communal issues that have remained in the society since ages.
Harvest, the introduction. Harvest is a futuristic play by Manjula Padmanabhan about organ selling in India. It was first published in 1997 by Kali for Women. Manjula was the first Indian English playwright to earn international recognition by receiving the prestigious Onassis International Cultural Award for her work Harvest in 1997 in Greece. The play Harvest is a darkly comic and unsettling tale of globalism and organ harvesting in India. The play confronts us with the futuristic Bombay of the year 2010, at the time when multinational companies have gone to the third world not for software, minerals, or fabric, but to harvest organs for their rich customers in America. It's about India and the gritty third world reality. It is an imaginary play about an unemployed Indian man and his family who trades his body to a customer in the United States. It is a futuristic play that throws light on the anxiety and the survival of a man and how he puts his whole family in a trouble to sell organs via an agency to someone in the first world for a petty amount of money. Om Prakash, a jobless Indian, agrees to sell all unspecified organs through Interplacenta Services Inc. to a rich person in an exchange of small fortune. Interplanta and the recipients are obsessed with maintaining Om's health and invasively control the lives of Om, his mother Ma, and his wife Jaya in their one-room apartment. The recipient, Ginny, periodically looks in on them via video phone and treats them scornfully. Om's deceased brother Jitu is taken to give organs instead of Om. Harvest represents the imprisonment of a middle class family of the third world to an appealing but prohibited international economy of the first world. The play mainly highlights the social apathy, especially among the members of the middle class society. Globalization is an idea that looks to bind together and escalate the socio-social scene of the world. It is a forming to accomplish this accomplishment through information communications technology, which has strengthened and contracted all outskirts everywhere throughout the world. But actually, it has been twisting the way of life and crafts of monetarily more fragile countries of the world. It means developing nations have faced more problems than ever as a result of the phenomenon of globalization. Like Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus, he becomes an ambitious person for wealth and success and surrenders the right of his entire body to the devil. His mystified feelings about the Faustian deal allow the playwright to describe the intricate blend of optimism and misery that has provoked by his actions. Om becomes ecstatic but does not know that globalization deceives. By signing the deal, he has accepted his new rich life as a slave.
Cyber cultures infuse in our lives and its possible threat to human physical identity is well documented in Harvest. This is the most important feature in the postmodern world. American Virgil, posing as Guinea, seduces and controls the Prakash family. He uses gadgets like the contact module or the video couch to disperse identity through cybernetic circuits. Both the receiver and the donor assume new identities in the digital arena. Harvard highlights important questions about digitizations of identities and separation from the physical form. Problematizations of the identity in cyberspace is pivotal to the discourse of post-colonialism. For marginalized bodies, identity, politics, and suffering is rooted in the physical body. In Harvest, First World exploits the Third World via wireless communication and unlimited money. Jaya sustains a post colonial resistance to such capitalist domination. She claims her body evocative for her dignity through the corporeal limitation of death. The body gains central stage in Manjula Padmanabhan's dystopic, futuristic play Harvest. The play distinguishes between the impoverished but healthy donor body of the third world and the wealthy but ailing first world body. The vegetator distinctions also include inter alia, the differences between the male and the female body, the aged and the young body, and the real and the virtual body. Manjula Padmanabhan plays Harvest, written in 1997 as a futuristic setting in a Bombay for the year 2010 against a backdrop that assumes that all debates over the legal, moral, and ethical validity of organ sales and transplants have been resolved and that the market for sale of organs has been fully institutionalized. The fictional transnational corporation is the play with Interplanta service that performs three procedures is an embodiment of the increasing proliferation of global capitalism. The play highlights the unequal relation between the wealthy first world population and the impoverished third world counterparts.
The lure of a better lifestyle seduces the donor, that is the Prakash family, to enter into an ethnically questionable transaction of organ sales. The first world receiver, that is Virgil, in the guise of Ginny, appropriates their dignity, pride, and identity with the inducement of regarding the poor family with quick money. Padmanabhan registers a protest against this practice, and the insistence of Jaya, that is Om's wife, on physical touch and contact with the first world receiver upsets this hegemonic construct. She prefers to die with dignity than to live ignobly by sacrificing her identity rooted in a third world body. The play aims to bring forth the pivotal role played by technology in tempting the third world donors into compliance. For this, the play uses sci fi gadgets and a futuristic dystopic setting. It is via one such gadget, that is the contact module, that we see Ginny visibly only through a screen suspended from the ceiling, but never in a physical form on the stage. Identity in a post human world, Padmanabhan's play is a post colonial and post humanistic protest against the ominous future in which man has no place. The technologized body aims to displace the corporeal self, and it marks the redistribution of the positions of self and non self, equilibrium and non equilibrium, body and consciousness. Harvest needs to be contextualized in the hypothesis of posthumanism, rooted in the changing concepts of the Western self. Identity in this play is problematized across many levels, and the blonde, light skinned youth goddess is a manifestation of Virgil. There is the aged, diseased American male who has worked through 4 bodies in 50 years. The hint at the desires for a more perfect body is explicit here, and Padmanabhan takes a dig at the popular stereotypes of Western consumerist culture that exploits our desires to acquire physical features and personality traits that are popularized and commoditized by media and technology. Globalization and capitalistic forces have taken this obsession with body alteration into the age of technology, and identity is now embodied in a new discourse, that is cyberology. Over the past 2 decades, high tech companies in Japan, USA, and other parts of the world have been trying to develop humanoid robots that can emulate our way of living right down to our bodily functions and physical appearance. The aim is to create an external agent on which a human can be imposed, like a simulated man, as well as replacement in the digital future. Cyberculture provides clues to the proliferation and globalization and technology that the first world uses to dominate in transactions with the third world. In the post human state, it is spread throughout the cybernetic circuit. The contact module performs an integral role in obscuring the actual physical existence of Ginny while concurrently enabling her to monitor the daily activities of Om and his family members. It allows her to maintain her distance from the unsanitary conditions of the site of colonization, that is, the home of the Prakash family.
Capital is one such consideration that creates and controls cyberculture. It determines the production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services in the global market, and is also a mechanism for control. The invention of modern gadgets like computer, mobiles, internets, and wireless communication has further broadened and horizon of the globalization for the marginalized and sub-Latin section of the society. The sites of resistance and justice need to be situated within the body and or tenacious if placed within a disembodied and abstract consciousness. The protest against lure of an improved abstract consciousness and staunch loyalty to the embodied form is initially mirrored in the character of Jitu, Holmes' brother. He is introduced as a male prostitute about the same age as his brother Home, but bearing a more easygoing persona. He is described as a being conscious of his body. This is in stark contrast with Holmes, the donor of the Prakash family. Holmes' mother, referred to as Moss, Holmes' wife Jaya, and Home are all described as malnourished, unkempt, and physically unimpressive. The instinctive desire for them, particularly Om and his mother, to be rid of these bodies is palpable. Jaya is described as a thin and haggard. She looks older than her 19-year, while Shima is stopped, scrawny, and grabby. Jitu's active resistance against interplanta and his insidious objectives is evident when he fails to turn up at the first briefing by the agency's guards to the Prakash family. At Jaya's pleading to return home and register himself with the agency, he clarifies his stance. His corporeality is the site of resistance against the imperialistic order and pervasive reach of technology gadgetry that aims to obliterate and impediments to its role.
Framing many of our post human fantasies, this other of technology permanently impels us to know, to direct and control, to transform and modify, without ever strictly defining the limits we may arrive at in our hunger for post humanism, cyber culture, or post colonialism in Manjula Padmanabhan's Harvest Completeness. Constrained by physical incapacitation or death, the human species wishes to change from its assigned mode of being to become what its best missions already are. Hollywood blockbusters like Iron Man, Transformers, and The Matrix announce the end of man in the celebration of the body made perfect or left behind. They dream of the dissolution of self through computer technology, bioscience, or the intersection of communalism and the new digital environment. Posthuman provides new images and new terms of human evolution and examines transitory stages in the development of human intelligence. Resistance to posthumanism, Harvest addresses this notion in the image of Jinni. In Act 3, Scene 2, Virgil's voice reaches Jaya. He is the actual first world receiver, willing to pay for the youthful bodies of hapless third world donors. Jaya is filled with terror at the disembodied voice from the wearing Ablaze contact module. When Jaya asked about Jinni, Virgil explained that she was a nothing, nobody, a computer animated wet dream. Jinni, the young, beautiful woman, is a manifestation of Virgil's machinations to seduce his desired target. She is a primitive form of cyborg having no links to the human world of physical boundaries or wholeness. Throughout the play, we see her face and hear her querulous voice, prompting Ma to call her an angel. The gifts that she has bestowed upon the Prakash family seem nothing short of miracles to them. She always appears to be out of their reach since her location affords a geographical distance. Even a transient image is untouchable as the contact module swings away every time a donor, be it Jitu or Jaya, tries to touch it. In Act 3, Scene 1, we watch the Interplanta guards mistake Jitu for Om and take him away, only to bring him back swathed in bandages. It is a horrible realization of the separation of identity from the human body. His clothes, white on white, and his face and head covered in bandages gives him the likeness of an unnamed mission, a faceless entity. He has been transformed into an individual cyborg with implants in place of eyes and a visor across them, a post-human body that is first disembodied and then re-embodied, enabling his transition into another consumer body.
Ginny's images are transmitted directly into Jitu's brain and he is completely entranced by her. Ironically, it is only by turning Jitu into a likeness of her own mechanic self that Ginny, the virtual projection, has been able to appear in her full avatar to him. She beams images of her body into Jitu's brain so that he is mesmerized by agreeing to further extraction of organs from his own corporeal body. The body that Ginny shows off to Jitu is nothing but a digital projection, a virtual incarnation of the desires of flesh. It is almost a mockery of physical form and it is a locational limitation. When Virgil communicates with Jaya through the contact module and coaxes her to look at him, she refuses by turning her face away. When she turns, a projection of Jitu is standing before her. Padmanabhan defines this as apartion. Even as the image of Jitu speaks, the voice emanates from the contact module. Virgil tries to lure Jaya by using the body of Jitu by exploiting her desires for Jitu. She argues that Jitu is dead and so is his body. But Virgil asserts that he has a cursing. This scenario once again raises the issue of the body as the manifestation of identity. In the era of contemporary social and critical theory, the notion is a stable, unified, and concurrent identity is rejected. Instead, the modern theory sees identity as as a series of negotiations, differences, and discourses. In a world where race, class, gender, or sexuality are the most important to the adoption of the persona, cyberspace allows an individual to choose an identity, masquerade, mimic, and transcend bodily identities and interact with the world as somebody else. The individual subjectivity exists in a dispersed state where the boundaries of the self are no longer the body or the skin.
It is Jaya who finally launches a protest against the fluidity of identity. She rejects the body of Jitu that Virgil has now occupied. She resists Virgil's advances and the claims of his desire for her. He insists that she has known the mouth that is now speaking to her or the body that will plant a child inside her. Jaya questions the voice emanating from Jitu's body regarding the paternity of the child she will bear. Will the child be Virgil's because he has donated his sperm, or will it be Jitu since the body is his? The problem of ownership and parentage is intimately entwined with the problem of identity. Jaya asserts that she wants the pain, the agony of childbirth, even as Virgil proposes a painless procedure. Her final resistance is symbolized in her decision to end her life. If the interplan guards try to break her down and forces her to comply, she has found a new way of winning by losing. Jaya refuses to allow her womb to be treated as a laboratory for the first world colonizer for his experiments with self-preservation and securing right to perpetuity.